even talking about high performance culture, which is really the vital thing as we turn the pages of change and disruptions within the spaces we work in. And when I was trying to prepare this session, I got a little bit reflecting on a lot of things, including the aspect of change, because for us to build a culture, our culture that is enabling for the people or for family or for society, it does come, in line, it ties along with change. And it took me to October 2019, and I'm seated in a session of learning and development experts. It was such an intriguing session, and these change and culture change experts were dissecting one research to the other. I tell you, there were quite a number, just to find out the rate at which actually culture change initiatives or culture transformation initiatives do fail, because they do, just like most of the culture, change initiatives we hear about or we go through. And one of the things as we went to even I think it was over 157 from one of the speakers who said, yeah, there are quite a number. I kept on asking myself, where is the why? Where is that? The rate is really resounding, but we don't seem to get a big reason why this process failed. And that kept me thinking even when we left this kind of discussion. And least did I know, last year, June, I'm invited into a culture champion development program, and I joined the conference room, and this speaker who is speaking, of course I was to meet this speaker for the first time that day, but anyway, e-meeting, because he was joining virtual from the US, and I see on the screen something very intriguing that I've been thinking about, the why. Of course, research and a lot of research, because I've been looking into, associate the failure of most of these initiatives, including creating high performance culture, to their inability to actually develop the desired behavior in people to drive the right results for the organization or for the society or the spaces they live in. But this one was a bit staggering. And this speaker was speaking about a research that he had come across recently, and that I would want to share a bit right here before I forget grace on my presentation, because I forget sometimes and continue speaking. And so the speaker puts a number on the screen. I hope I'll be able to get this right. The technology doesn't disappear like the way it did to Grace. So when you see my presentation, first slide, please, just write all right on the chat. By the way, I'll be using a lot of the chat just to interact with you at the chat. So Grace, can you see people that they see the presentation?
Yes, Nelson is already here. The management is saying, all right.
It's good to have these enabling people. And so yes, this speaker puts a number, 73%, and this is the number that just changed the way I used to do change and how we actually do undertake change, including our efforts to build high performance cultures or even enabling cultures for organizations. And this number is a number I want you to make and take notice of. If you will remember anything in this presentation, make sure you remember this number, because in every stage we have in life, we are driving changes in many facets. And this number, 73%, not only explains what to consider for successful culture transformation or any change transformation, but it also tells us where to focus our efforts on. And just to preempt, many research will tell you over 75 or within their percent change fails, but they will not tell you at what rate the behavior that is not achieved is at in terms of rate. But this research, which is intriguing, you may want to look at it after, will tell you why you need to focus all the efforts you have and resources to people. And that will tell you the connection between people, organization, and culture in driving success for organization. Like I said, my name is Damaris Ndungwa. I'm a learning and development strategist for Blue Concepts Africa. All I do is help optimize potential for growth and sustained productivity for people and organization. And this is in many facets, but we use learning for that. But before I move to the question, or the elephant in the room, why culture and why is it important anyway? I would want just to find out how many people here have been part of a change or culture change process. If you have, just say yes. Use a chat. If you have been part of a culture change or change management process. Grace, I will use your help a lot. Just tell me how you're doing there at the chat. Do we have some people? Awesome, awesome.
Yes,
yeah, oh, they are good,
yeah.
Fantastic. This is really good. It's going to be a very rich session, I tell you. I tell you. Then he posted there. I also want to know how many people here have led a culture change or culture transformation process. If you have, I know someone has used the I have, the one I wanted to use now. Just say I have. If you have led a culture transformation process, key in there, I have. I just want to give, Samuel, great. Oh, this is good. You see, now this one makes me feel really excited because it creates a diverse and richness in this forum to even share the experiences we've had. And this gives context. You must also have also realize, and please, you will be able to share your experiences as we move on. It brings in the context because we understand, just like the culture approach and change approaches are different as well. Organizations are different, and that's where the context comes in. And just like the way we individuals, like one person to the other, are different. Damaris is different from many other people. We are so unique, packaged with our strength as well as our areas of improvement. It's the same thing for organizations. They're very unique, and therefore culture is equally unique for every organization. And it's interesting to tag, as we find the reason why culture, why is it important anyway for anything, and why you and me or any leader should even ever care or pay attention to culture, is because of some pertinent issues. But there are many ways we can actually get into this, but I want to maybe start with the end in mind, so it can become a little bit easier for us to demystify this and get to understand. Now, something I know you will agree, like I do, is every organization, whether big or small or a startup, is looking to succeed. Every leader wants their organization to succeed. Even the leadership at whatever capacity or level, they all want their organization to succeed or their portfolio to succeed. But success looks different. Just like success could look different from one person to the other. It's the same for organizations. And therefore, this is critical because it's a big picture we're working with here. So what does success look like in your organization or in the context you want to transform the change in? Some organizations look for define success as the introduction of great, genius, innovative products in the market. And we have those ones going who are continuously particular about how the products meet the needs and preferences of their client. And that's how they say they are successful, if they're able to meet just that and seem to be leading in provision of these products in the market. Others, of course, will define success as attainment for certain growth. You're growing from one translation in bottom line to the other, or your coverage in terms of growth. You opening offices, you're serving clients within this big region, or you've entered a new market. You're growing. That defines your success. Others could define success as also different depending on, what you're pursuing as an organization. I see a lot of organizations that pursue healing for people or for a certain segment in the market. You could see also those who are passionate about driving peace, and I could go on and go, on. Others are particular about bringing beauty into the world. Of course, sun needs a lot of beauty. You agree with me that. So whichever way you define success, you will also agree with me, especially those people who have driven culture change or any change for success in an organization, that there is someone who is very responsible for this. And this is leadership. And remember, we're answering the question, why culture anyway? And why is it so important for leaders actually to pay attention to culture? And leaders don't think it's someone else, it's just you and me. Leadership is responsible for driving success for the organization. No doubt, we know that. Most of us actually know that. But look here, for us to get this success, we have this thing we call strategy, because for us to articulate the growth we want, articulate, get the products we want in the market, or even bring the healing or the beauty, we will need a strategy. And a strategy is how an organization, puts it, plan itself to achieve its success. Whichever this looks like, it will articulate why the organization actually exists. Just to paraphrase this, and it brings out the areas of focus or priority areas, our objectives, our goals, or strategic goals that we need to achieve, and how we are going to meet objectives. Of course, when you look at strategy, that's very clear. In fact, it said that most leaders set this as their priority number one, to articulate the strategy of meeting their goals and how they translate the success. And they're responsible for that. And let me just mention here, for years, this equation of leadership, strategy, and success had been used for years, for decades, for millenniums, as the way to get to achieve the success as we perceive it. But along the lines, things could fall apart, like it's always put. We would not always hit, and some things would actually come and derail, come and stop, come and actually break down, come and collapse, and therefore we don't hit. And therefore, one of the things that have been found ultimately in a big way to drive strategy is culture. And look here we are. Culture drives strategy. In other words, is the enabling factor to achieving the goals. And this is where the big game starts. When we are translating all these things through strategy, we have people in the picture who are connected with all those goals in the strategy, who are connected in how they they communicate with clarity the goals and roles of everybody to articulate the goals of that strategy. And this is where the engagement on how we translate these goals comes in. It's where we feel satisfied about the roles we have. This is culture, the structures we use to run this and reinforce the behaviors which we desire is here. And look, there's a small definition here just for work process of this presentation that defines high performance culture as a set of values, beliefs, and behaviors. And mark those three because they are very fundamental. That enables an organization to achieve excellent results. Of course, the success we spoke about there. And not when I talk, this is just a working definition. But when you look into culture in a bigger context, it's everything within an organization. It includes the leadership, it includes the structures and processes and procedures we put in place, because all that reinforces the guiding principles, which are the values, the beliefs, and the behaviors. And one of the things that I may want to just bring in, it's not in this slides, is leadership is very fundamental in driving this, definitely, and we will talk about that. But when you look at values is what we hold as the bare minimum for ourselves to function. It's our standards. And values drive behavior because we translate behaviors from our beliefs or what we hold as valuable to us, non-negotiable to us. So we behave in this certain way. And it comes with the beliefs we put in our minds around those values. And behaviors is what drives the actions that we desire to get the results we desire. Look at that. So if you do not have the right values, then you will be driving the wrong behaviors, and therefore you will be experiencing wrong actions every time in the workplace. And these actions, we see them every day. People get late, people come into meetings and they don't contribute because they have not prepared. Or we have people who don't respect the timelines. You say fix 2 minutes to ask your question. And look at that, I saw that one the other day. And someone will be beating down around the bush for 15 minutes, and we have 15 of us. So we do not make use of the resource we have, which is time. And these are actions that are inspired by the way we work, and that's culture. So here we have a scenario where, and I want to demonstrate to you that why is culture important in driving strategy? And positive or flourishing or enabling culture. And that is a big term to use because there is a lot going in there when you talk about positive or flourishing or enabling culture. It means you've got a communication which is open for everybody, it's free to share. People are making mistakes and they're not just judged, or the hammer is not being dropped just non-considerably to them. You have people who are excited to work around their roles because they know what that means to the big picture of the organization and how it translates to their own growth as well. I mean, there's a lot that's going there for you to say this culture is positive or flourishing. And that's what is going to drive us towards achieving this, because all these things we do, the actions we drive every day, gives us the results we want. And therefore, we are meeting the goals within this strategy. But no, if this thing is not this way, definitely it's killing the strategy. And I guess that's where Grace got this big powerful quote that says, culture choose strategy for breakfast, because negative culture, of course, and healthy culture. And here we're talking about not the opposite of that. People don't trust each other in the organization. Therefore, they don't communicate openly, or they hold information which is powerful for us to respond in a certain way. Therefore, we don't meet the expectations or the goals we have. We have, of course, a defective way of praising each other. And this is very fundamental because performance management is the way we reinforce behavior. One of the biggest ways we reinforce behavior in an organization is by use of the performance management system, because it's a reward and recognition framework we have within an organization. So if it's negative, it's not working, you kill the strategy because we don't have the right actions to drive the right outcomes. And that's how we say, culture does chew strategy in the morning, But look, we said culture is fundamental driving strategy for the success we need for the organization. But who is responsible for culture? I know those people who have driven change within different organizational phases must know this. Who do you think is responsible for driving culture in an organization? Just tell me. I'm also learning here, Use the chat. Who is responsible for driving a high performance culture or an enabling culture? Let me get some. Great. I have the HR. I like that. Oh, I'm in HR. Gosh, that's our responsibility. Head of HR. I like that quote. Who said that? The fish rots from the head. You hit the nail on the head. The fish rots from the head. Line managers, management, leadership. Okay, the sponsor. Oh yeah, I like that. I must have read about change management models. The team leaders. Yes, Juguna. Who is Juguna? Everyone but the team leader should be in the forefront. Thank you very much. I like that enthusiasm. But let me tell you one thing. Someone actually put it very well. The fish starts rotting from the head, but I don't want this fish to rot. I want it to stay fresh. So it's going to stay fresh straight from the head. So who is responsible for sustaining a great culture and enabling culture? Is a leadership. And this reminds me in the year I think it was November 2020, the Harvard Business Review released a review that actually demonstrated this equation. And actually the title was, Now You Know Where Culture Sits, on the boardroom table. Now, if you want to understand this a little bit, those people who are enthusiasts and are keen on strategy or strategic plans for your organization, there's a very key section there that articulates the strategic direction of an organization. And this is where culture is entrenched in a strategy. Although sometimes we don't pay a lot of attention, but it's an encouraging thing to see how this thing is changing in the recent times. Now, strategic direction, that actually talk about our vision, our mission, and our guiding principles, or our values that guides us. And look at that. I've just said the definition of culture itself. Now, if this is in the strategy, of course, the leadership is responsible for using the strategy for success. Therefore, culture is responsible. I mean, leadership is responsible for culture by the mere use of the strategic plan. But look here, there is a principle I want to talk about here called the shadowy principle, the shadowy effect of leadership. And I know if you have a family or you have kids, of course, this happens for almost everyone because it stems from the behavioral reinforcement theory of B.F. Skinner. For those who have studied that, because it uses the environment, you're always learning from the environment we live in, and this includes the people around us. And this is a principle that just uses the impact of leadership to culture and in an organization generally. If I ask this question, if you have a manager or a supervisor who shows up early in a meeting, what do you realize about the people who come in that meeting? It's a rhetorical question. I have seen 2 organizations, and one of the CEOs reports every day, because they work on site in the office at 5:30. And you know what? One of the things I found for that organization, the latest person there is at 6:30 in this Nairobi. And it's interesting, you know, for me, I could understand, but I was asking the CEO, how come you're ever here on 5:30? Is it something intentional you want to communicate? But he told me something that is even not even related to articulating or guiding a certain initiative for the organization. But they just told me they have 2 kids that they have to drop to school every morning, and then they beat the traffic to get to the office. So the best way is just to wake up early so they don't have to be caught up in traffic, and so they don't have to get home because they get caught up in the traffic. So they just head to the office. But look here, we've read this as a key action that has shadowed the behavior of the rest of the people. And it happens even at home. If you're those people who, let me use myself. I tend to use my hand, you know, when I'm putting on the TV, to put it from the TV itself, not the remote. So it's something I just do unconsciously myself, but I also realize my kids just do that. Sometimes even ask, why are you not using the remote? And it's just unconscious. They just copy it because of this shadow effect. And there are many things actually kids copy from us all the time, including closing your drawer, using your leg. Did you notice that? Sometimes it happens. It's the same for the organizations, this shadow effect. If you have a leader who behaves in a certain way, it's a way of giving permission for the people to do a similar thing. And you know, it's a good news and the bad news. You get this picture, because if shadowing this empowering kind of behaviors, you will shadow them downwards all along. If you talk about integrity and you have a problem, integrity might kill, people see it and they will be all finding justification to just behave like you because you already gave them permission. It's the same thing now when you're talking about leadership, power, and influence on culture. I know there's been so many arguments. What if the culture doesn't work? And they have been all reinforcing this negative culture, but we feel this culture can work, and we create a momentum from bottom up. Sorry, it's not the bottom up you're thinking about, but from down here to transform this. Well, let me tell you, it can work sometimes, but it fails most times, because who owns the structure? Who owns the reinforcing power for behavior? Because the reinforcing power for behavior is the way we reward, is the way we punish, is the way we put people to task to explain this, and that shapes the way we behave. It's a leadership that has that power. Have worked with I've worked with a membership organization, and one of the principles they had in the constitution is for you to be a member at the top, or at least at the top, you have to come within a certain region that was almost near the headquarters. And therefore, one of the things they found wasn't working for them, and this was identified by one of the members, is if you're not coping or cooperating with a great percentage of the leadership and their vision or whatever they want to do, you just get transferred to the next region. And just like that, you have no voice. You see, so the power of leadership is actually real. So this equation of culture, strategy, and success, I mean, you can get a lot of research that just explains a lot, gives insights a lot, and talks a lot about this equation. And like we all know, it explains very authentically how culture can eat strategy for breakfast. And I hope I've just given an overview and some ideas on how it actually can do that. You understand culture is a big thing, so I may not be able to actually go into the details of it. But look here, just like the way we say culture, it's strategy for breakfast, and we all agree with that, because it's the way we behave that we are not going to meet, or we are going to meet our strategic goals. You can equally say that leadership is culture for lunch. I've demonstrated that through the shadow principle. Because if leadership is responsible for creating culture, therefore, it means if it's a wrong, disempowering culture, then leadership is doing it. We are also equally responsible for building the culture. So we start staying fresh, not rotting from the head. So leaders drive culture. Now, when I say leaders, I say don't look up there the way most people or most of us do. You lead your own section, your own portfolio, your own family. You are responsible for guiding, because they are emulating, and it's sort of a natural thing to think about when we say everybody who look up to us always is looking up to us to learn something, or to learn how to do something, including how to behave. And therefore, we are responsible for shaping the culture. Now, if you care about success, definitely by now you understand you need to care about culture. And that's why I said leaders need to actually care about culture. It's this important. Otherwise, we will keep on doing these deep stakes, doing these surveys, and if you don't do anything about it, we'll be going back to the same square. We have a bad customer satisfaction. Our rate doesn't look good. We can identify things that are happening, and that's it. We put that, that report into the shelves. We go a higher rate or a rising rate of customer complaints, or we just have. Maybe we've changed our structure of work because of COVID, and we have a hybrid sort of an approach, and we do not have participants or staff actually engaging or participating just like they used to do. Look, it's a culture. You need to look in the structures you put in place, like we've seen. We need to look in the manner we are listening, we are communicating, we are actually paying attention to the needs they have, because that is what drives the engagement, it's what drives the motivation, it's what drives the open communication and leverage to have even trustworthy environment for us to engage. It's in the culture. So we need to as well think about the culture. Now that we know a bit why we need to really think about culture, because it's important. Probably you're wondering, then how will I tell of one if I see one? How will I know if I'm close to a great culture, or mine is a high performance culture? What will I see for me to know whether a culture is a high performance, or it's enabling, or it's positive to reinforce or to build, to deliver the success you're looking for? So I move very quickly because Grace has given me very limited time. In fact, I don't know how she's going to stop me. So look here, I'll focus on 5 features of high performance cultures, and I'll move with speed. And then you can ask the questions if I miss something right here. Number 1, I want you to appreciate and understand this. If you're aiming at high performance culture, just like the way leaders drive high performance culture, you will need to develop capacity for high performance culture within your leadership. This one is very fundamental. But just moving on, one of the features of high performance culture is everybody understands why their work matters. People are not just showing up to work. They actually come to work because they know the contribution it makes to the big picture and the contribution that actually makes to their own life. So they find the meaning into what they do. And you know what? This increases the level of creativity, innovation, and motivation with a focus to drive these results to the bigger purpose of the organization or whatever spaces they are in. Number 2, look at this one. Values are practiced throughout the organization. I wanted to ask this question. How many people have core values and they are very well framed somewhere in the reception or in the boardroom? Because I see this a lot, especially when I'm working in the government. But when you start engaging with these people, oh yeah, the values are quite miles away. I do not know whether you've seen that. But values are practiced through the organization is a mark of a high performance culture. You know, if we say we are enthusiastic about delighting our customer, look at the way the customer looks when they show up within that space. And, translating and living these behaviors makes a sort of high level of collaborations within this space, and the sense of priority for these people is very high because they're already guided by their guiding principles. And this is very fundamental in meeting and delighting customers or meeting the purpose or the big goal of the organization. Moving on to number 3, all activities provide real value to the customer. Look here, this is the stakeholder, the customer, or the person we exist to serve. Just put that one there, depending on where you are. And therefore, this organization is particular in cutting the waste or the things that are irrelevant, because all activities are driven towards meeting a certain objective. And so we remain with a value that aims at making sure we meet the preferences and needs of the people we exist for, whether it's a customer, your stakeholder, or that person or the people you want to make sure you meet their needs. Or activities, and mark is all activities. Are we not talking about everything we do every day within the workplaces we are in? Absolutely, yes. Number 4, people's roles match up with their passion and capabilities. I cannot emphasize enough the relevance of talent attraction, talent selection, and talent placement within the workplace. We recruit people within the competencies. Of course, we talk about hiring for fit, which is a little bit tasky because sometimes even the leadership has a challenge in articulating the culture they desire. So we can easily hire for the values we have, and therefore we place people within the competencies and match them with the roles that they are going to execute every day. And it's important, so we have people placed in the right seats. And that in itself is motivating because I have this competency, I have this skill to do this thing, so they get up there to do and deliver things with ease. And when they're able to do something great that contributes big time to the big picture, it's the highest satisfaction someone can have, and autonomy to do that within their capacity. And this is a mark of a great, it takes process by there to get people in this level. So therefore you get teams who are dramatically more creative and productive because they are capable to deliver. They are capable to collaborate and support each other because first they love what they do and they are able to deliver it. And for that particular reason, you will be driving an easier culture and strategy for your organization. Number 5 is teams grow and flourish without dependency on leadership. And this is a process because leadership believes in driving the right culture. Therefore, it is able to communicate and cascade this sense of leadership downwards. So you get everybody empowered to lead within their portfolios. and mark the word empowered because it's another process there, to be able to bring people up to speed, to be able to actually deliver the outcomes in a manner that meets the desired culture within the organization. And when you have people being able to do what they can do, then you've built capacity for leadership. And this capacity for leadership is able to, you see a lot of delegation and responsibility of authority from top there. And that is, it's big because it's able to move the vision and mission of the organization towards, and values towards the goal. This is big when it comes to cascading leadership or building a leadership powered organization where people exercise autonomy for them to be able to execute things. And autonomy, by the way, is a driver of level of engagement for any level. And the last one is the bottom line results and goals are achieved. We exist because of this. Like we said, every organization exists for a certain thing they call success. And the bottom line has to be met. You know what? Great organizations with great cultures are not struggling in meeting their bottom line or their responsibilities. And you'll agree with me. If you get the culture right, you already got the bottom line right. It's a fact. But these are the top 6 I would actually share with you for now. You can identify. I do not know which ones connect with your culture. So you can see where you are in terms of creating a picture about how your culture looks like in your space you are in. But those ones are fundamental. You may want to look at them. And each of them as a way of actually bringing your team up to speed to be able to exhibit that and sustain that. Now that we know the features, of course, of high performance culture, how do you create one? And let me tell you, you can start anywhere. Like people ask me, where do I start for me to even start influencing this culture? You can start anywhere, okay? And one of the places you can start, you maybe have done a deep stick probably to establish the level of satisfaction for your customer, or inside or within or without. That's for your customers in and out. And you will find things there. You may want to put a case within the leadership for you to start influencing some things. And these things can actually be initiative to transform the culture you have. Go ahead, start there. But one thing I'll tell you, like I said, there are many areas you can start, just needs to be articulated as a process. But one of the things that I find intriguing about sharing of you as I come closer to closing this, Grace, is culture transformation, or the process of building high performance culture. It is a change management process. It has to be treated because you're transforming people, behaviors, values, habits from one level to the other. You're changing systems from not working or enhancing them. There is change in there. And where there is change, there is people. Like I said, remember the number, 73% critical. If you don't use that principle right, you are going to flop. You're going to fall flat on this change. You've got to understand that you cannot separate change and the people if you're dealing with the people. It doesn't matter how much you've adopted technology. There is always people driving the technology. And 73% of the efforts, including the budget, goes to the people, goes to building capacity, goes to communicating, goes into implementing this initiatives you have. It's the people who drive this. We've been told many times, especially in HR, that we appreciate people are the greatest asset of an organization, and it's true in its own right. But I also believe that people are the organization, because without the people, you ain't driving any organization, and therefore you may want as well to invest equal effort to have people understand what is the need for them, why this change, and what does it look like when we implement this change, and how is that going to impact the future of us and the future of the organization. I mean, there's a lot that goes in there. So culture is a transformation process that is a change-based approach. And I do not know, Grace, how many minutes do I have? Because I have a slide I wanted to share that might take 7 minutes.
Just go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things you may want to pay attention to after recognizing this is a process of change, then you may want to know how people respond to change, because people respond to change differently. As I said, we are equally unique. And if you have ever met this model we call the curve for change, One of the popular one is the Kubler-Ross change curve. You will realize there are people who are always ready to move with the change. And those are the first or early adopters of change. You want to use those ones to leverage on creating a momentum. Do you have those ones? Do you pay attention to those people? Because there are these people who will just jump in very fast in their nature because of their level of resilience, understanding, or the way they're just structured. But at the end of the day, for you to hit the peak of change and get the results, you will want to use, for those you know, the bell curve. The bell curve is a normal curve. And normal curve as usually the symmetry line. You want to get the people within these two symmetry lines because that is where you optimize the results from change. And how do you optimize this? In a real context within an organization, that is where majority people are. And this majority of people are not starters of change, and they're not initiators of change. They only need to see one person, two people, four of them actually jumping. They see the results. Oh, they already got a buy-in. If you did a good communication strategy and they're in for this, believe you me, your change has gotten a momentum. And once you are able to, although these people are a bit cynical, but they're good. When they get in, you're able to actually convince them and show them what is in it for them, because that's what they want to know. What is in this change for me? We call it the WeFM, which we listen all the time. And I'm able to see how it's going to benefit me, benefit the organization. They all jump in. And that's what you want to focus in this 68% of the people within your organization. Now, from there, let me show you, now we're talking about strategy. And there are many change approaches, models you can use when you're going through your process of building a great culture. And I can name a lot, like 12 of them, but I'll just go to the one that I myself enthusiast or I love a lot, because I learn a lot from the owner and the other of this change implementation, of course, process. It is evolved for many years. And the one we use in Blue Concepts Africa, we borrowed a lot and also borrowed a lot from him. So I want to share something here very briefly. If you allow me, I'll ask you to just make sure your volume is audible so you can hear this. It's about 7 minutes. Sorry, did I share volume? Did you hear any volume? Let me just say, share sound, okay. Sorry, I hope that one is above.
Yes, we can hear. Yes.
You can hear, okay, great, sorry. Let me just go back. I'm going to make this very brief. Okay, so here we go.
This is a story about a flock of penguins who live on an iceberg in Antarctica, the South Pole. They are like a big family. They have been living as a colony on this iceberg for years, as far back as they can remember. It is their home. They don't know it yet, but change is coming for them. In order to survive, they will need to learn the change leadership process, one step at a time. When they aren't hunting for creatures in the sea, they spend most of their time with friends and relatives. Except this one, Fred. Fred is unusually curious and observant. He watches the sea and stuffs his observations, ideas, and conclusions in a briefcase. One day, Fred learned something alarming.
Oh boy, I have to do something. I gotta tell Alice.
This is Alice. She is one of the Penguins' Leadership Council members. She is tough and has a reputation of getting things done.
Alice, can I speak with you for a moment? I believe that our iceberg is melting.
Really? Well, show me what you mean.
So Fred took Alice to the heart of the iceberg.
See, Alice? Our iceberg has cracks that lead to larger caves. If the ice melts sufficiently, water will pour into these cracks and caves. If we have a cold winter, the water in these cracks can freeze quickly, trapping water inside the caves. Then, as the temperature goes lower, the water in the caves will freeze too. This freezing liquid will expand in volume, causing our iceberg to break into pieces. This could destroy our home and place us all in great danger.
This is not good. We must bring this information to the Leadership Council.
I'll prepare a presentation to convince them that something must be done.
The Leadership Council consists of Lewis, the head of the council, Alice, Buddy, the handsome, charismatic one, and Nono, a cranky penguin who is responsible for weather forecasts.
Causing our iceberg to break into pieces.
This is wild speculation and fear-mongering. Our iceberg can withstand such fluctuations. Can he guarantee his data and conclusions are 100% correct?
I can't. But if our iceberg breaks into pieces in winter, wouldn't many of us die?
Imagine parents who lost their children coming to us and asking, "Why didn't you foresee this crisis? It was your job to protect the colony." What would you tell them?
If Fred is correct, we only have 2 months until winter to react to this threat.
We must inform everyone. This calls for a general assembly of the colony.
No! It would be very bad to worry them.
We don't want to panic anyone.
We must keep this a secret.
I have an idea. Would you give me a few minutes, please?
Fred went quickly down the mountain and arrived minutes later with a glass bottle.
Let's fill this bottle with water, seal it, and leave it in the ice overnight. Then tomorrow we can see if it's broken by the force of expanding water as it freezes. If I am correct, the bottle will be broken.
Let's do it. We'll meet here tomorrow morning.
The next morning, they found the bottle broken.
Oh.
I'm convinced. We have to do something about this.
Let us call a general assembly of the colony.
And with that, the Penguins started the change leadership process with step 1, establishing a sense of urgency.
Clearly, our iceberg is in danger, but I am confident we will find a solution. We need to act quickly.
The next step was step 2, creating the guiding coalition. A diverse team of 5 penguins was given the task of finding a solution. Lewis, Alice, Fred, Buddy, and Professor, who was the smartest penguin in the colony. Each had different strengths, and together they were the best team for the job. Their task was step 3 of the change leadership process, developing a change vision.
I've got an idea. Let's move to the center of Antarctica, where ice is thicker and stronger.
We will be too far from the water. How will we get fish?
What about using superglue to hold the iceberg together?
That's very funny.
Look, up there. The seagull. It can't fly forever. It must have a home somewhere.
It could be very lost, but it doesn't seem to be afraid. What if moving from one place to another is just the way it lives? Like a nomad.
I can almost see how we might live. We'd learn to move around. We wouldn't try to fix melting icebergs. We would just face up to the fact that what sustains us can't go on forever.
Our founder had this same idea when he moved our colony to this iceberg years ago. This sounds like our best shot. Let's inform the others.
Their next step was number 4, communicating the vision for buy-in. Lewis called a general assembly again to tell all of the new strategy. Since Buddy was the best storyteller, he was chosen to tell the story of the seagull. Then Lewis addressed the crowd.
We are not chained to this piece of ice. Let it melt and break. We will find other places to live that are safer.
Although many penguins were relieved to hear this, many were still skeptical. So Alice came up with the idea of putting slogans on ice posters to win over the support of the colony. They worked hard to communicate the new vision of a nomadic life. Then they moved the plan forward with step 5, empowering broad-based action.
A scout team should go and look for another iceberg. Assemble a team and get ready.
Yes, sir.
Of course, it didn't go smoothly at first. Arguments broke out among the scouts, but Lewis dealt with them in a straight and direct way, keeping the focus on the main task. Then Nono started forecasting storms to discourage the scouts and lower morale. Lewis told Nono that his forecasting services are not needed at this time. Many of the penguins, particularly the young ones, were scared about the upcoming move. Buddy asked the teachers of the colony to speak about bravery to these young penguins. He inspired them to come up with Tribute to Our Heroes Day for when the Scouts return. Next, they needed to act and make some progress. This is step 6, generating short-term wins. The strong, bright, and highly enthusiastic Scouts jumped into the water and searched for a new iceberg that would be good enough for them to move to.
My life was boring. Scouting is fun!
I will do this for the colony!
My family will be so proud of me!
When the brave Scouts finally returned, they were tired and hungry, but they were greeted with a hero's welcome. They were given medals and food. They told amazing tales about the sea, about swimming long distances, and about new icebergs they had seen. As happy as everyone was to have this successful trip completed, it was no time to rest. They pressed onward with step number 7, never letting up. The next day, a second group of Scouts went out and found the best iceberg for their new home.
This iceberg has everything we need. A tall snow wall and good fishing sites. During the migration, our young and old can rest along the way on small icebergs.
Let's waste no time. Start the migration before winter hits.
The colony moved to the new home. The move was chaotic at times, but with Lewis's leadership and Buddy's encouragement, they arrived safely on the new iceberg. However, they still needed to take one last step. Number 8, incorporating changes into the culture. Although the new iceberg was solid and safe, they decided to move again the year after to an even better iceberg. They learned that to survive, constant change must become part of their culture. We can all learn something from the fable of these penguins. Is your organization safe? Are you sure that your iceberg is not melting? Here is a review of the change leadership process that the penguins used. Step 1, establishing a sense of urgency. Step 2, creating the guiding coalition. Step 3, developing a change vision. Step 4, communicating the vision for buy-in. Step 5, empowering broad-based action. Step 6, generating short-term wins. Step 7, never letting up. And Step 8, incorporating changes into the culture.
There you have it, fellow professionals. I think that has been well summarized, including summarizing a lot of the things that I've shared earlier there. So I will not go in that because I want to wind up this. And just wind up, probably there is 1 or 2 things that you need to pay attention to if you are an enthusiast of building this high performance culture. Because I get this question a lot, most of the times. How do I make sure I go up, a watertight process that is not going to help me or guarantee me a successful change process? So if you want, or you're thinking of building a high performance culture and start the process, number 1, and these are some of the things that I have learned over my 14 years of helping organizations and people build high performance culture. You may want to articulate the culture you want. This is very fundamental. What is the culture you want? Define it. And number 2, understand the culture that you have, because you may move in to just sweep everything, and yet you sweep a lot of great things that you needed to continue or reinforce your bigger strategy or your bigger vision for your organization. Number 3, draw the most impactful culture transformation strategy. And you can borrow from this. And there are many others you can also borrow from to customize. Like I said, organizations are unique. Strategies equally are unique. Number 3, define the communication strategy for implementation. Communication and strategy go along. I may not emphasize that a lot, as I said. Measure and evaluate. Integrate metrics. And I want to simply say that whatever gets measured gets done. If you want people to behave in a certain way, measure the initiatives. you have or you put in place. And the last one, build internal accountability system. If you looked at that penguin journey, they actually had a team that was championing this, and it was actually an able team. So if you put or you want to put an accountability system, there are many ways you can do this, but one effective one I found is being able to identify. And remember, identify means you select great champions who can help you, build this and sustain this long term. I don't want to emphasize that, but you may want to take note of those 6 pointers because they're very fundamental in helping you define and take the journey of great and building high performance culture. And this is our belief. Culture will let anything else, if you get it right, just show up. It will happen. My name, like I said, Damaris, I'm a learning and development strategist. Thank you very much for listening. I know, Grace, I've taken a lot of time. Like I told you, I don't know how you are going to stop me that, but over to you, Grace.
Thank you very much, Damaris. I think that was quite something. I have seen people asking a lot of questions, and on the chat, maybe you can tell me if you want to give us 2 minutes that we ask a question or two, just so that we can get going. And Damaris, if I may ask, there's somebody who had asked, I mean, when you were speaking, I thought about getting the right people and speaking to their passion and speaking to their purpose. And I thought about like Kenya, for example, where we have corruption, it's everything else for lunch, breakfast, and dinner. So how do we make sure that we're getting the right people, all other factors aside?
Okay, there are a number of ways for us to, or for any organization to actually say this is the right person we want. First of all, it doesn't start from the market, it starts from internally, from the organization. What is it that you want this person to come and do? And you have to, like 1, 2, 3 things, and those things have to be contributing in a great way or in a special way to whatever big picture you're coming in. So when you want or you're looking for this person, number one, there are many things that can guide you. And one of them, like I've said, is the culture, the kind of behavior. And behavior tags a lot with the kind of personality a person has. And when you meet people, you engage them, you're able to somehow get to understand their personalities. Or when you view people, you follow people on platforms, you're able to tell these things, the things they value, the things that the values they also subscribe to, what is the things that they're passionate about, and then you're able to match, of course, with what you want for your role or for your organization. One of the things I found to be a gap is we tend to go out to look for someone when we're under pressure, or to search for a talent when we're under pressure, because maybe this position just fell vacant, or we just created or restructured our organizational design or structure, and we need these people to fill. So we are out there and we have to get these people within this time. So you may not actually have enough time to study people along these lines. So guess what? You get someone with a limited sort of criteria you have, so you continue discovering these things already when they have come in. And then maybe the cookie crumbles, so probably you think you're lucky. So I think looking from internally, sometimes we need to be proactive, first of all, as the people who are searching or looking for talent. And I want to refer to the process of the penguins. If you looked at this guy, was out there and was just going on with their life, but they were scouting for a lot of things. So it's good to just within your processes, you continue scouting, or even scouting for change, or scouting for the talent you're looking for. And I know proactive organizations do this all the time of the year, not because they foresee a vacant position, but they will always identify someone who can make this huge contribution to their culture and therefore to the success of the organization. Grace, I hope I've attempted to answer your question.
Yes, you have. I saw in the comment somebody was just saying, how do we have a saving culture for employees? I have a friend of mine called Fred Waswa. Fred Waswa runs a program on saving culture for employees. I think we are going to bring him next, but you can check out Octagon Africa. Damaris, we have 2 more questions to go because we can't really exhaust everyone because of time. But there's Esther who says, what's the best recommended strategy to maintain organization-wide unbiased objective and high performance reviews. Because I'm asking this because somebody else had asked, how do we make sure that line managers are giving their employees reviews to support performance, high performance rather?
Okay, I think first of all, I like that question because performance management, and the way we appraise is very critical to impacting the culture we create for an organization of the space we work in. And this is just for a simple fact, because this is the system we use to reinforce. And reinforcing is a key principle actually for creating behaviors we desire or we don't desire, depending on how we do that. So first of all, I always try to or tell people to shift from this mindset of thinking performance management, appraising, or this conversation is an HR thing. And I love the way that person is asking about the line managers, because when you think about it, conversations around performance and appraising performance is actually the responsibility of the manager, because it's the person who helps you to set the target, is the one who brings the communication on the expectation of all this, and is the one who evaluates you, is the one who actually helps build your capacity because they know the gaps you have. So how can we ensure there's this impartiality, this objective way of growing this? Number one is you want to look into the capacity of the manager. Are they able to drive that? Are they able to drive this, to make this conversation objective? Are they empowered to do that? Because sometimes we may not always ask that, because the way people come into leadership is different, not unless you're talking about a specific organization with a specific approach. So look into the capacity of the manager. You're talking about the managers you have, and ensure they have the capacity to do that, because that is one way of ensuring they do not have these varied ways of on how they now go down to the staff. As we know, it is the biggest relationship between the manager and the staff that actually helps reinforce the desired culture for your organization, and make sure they are connected, they are communicating, they feel they're cared for, and therefore they're connected well with what they do. And number two is are the structures generally in the organization right? Because one of the things they'll use is to be able to execute that is the structures and processes you put in place. Are they there? Are they right? And are they able to understand and follow them through, because they have been, of course, they understand how they work and how they can use them to guide all this you want to achieve. So I believe those two are very fundamental in achieving objectivity. Without necessarily going to the personalities you have within the workplace in terms of the managers or the leaders.
Okay, and for those of you who are asking about the recording or the video of this, we normally upload all our recordings or all our sessions in our YouTube channel. It's Get It Right with Atara Solutions. You go there. If this is your first time joining us, you have a lot to catch up on. We have over 100 videos uploaded there, and there's a lot of nuggets. We only host subject matter experts, and we are getting it right. And I love that Damari said, and how do we get it right? The link to our YouTube channel is there. Please subscribe so that you can be able to catch on our previous sessions. And also the presentation by Damaris will be uploaded up there. Now, Damaris, as the last question, how do we get leadership? Because I've seen Brenda saying that sometimes you want to change as HRs or as line managers, but the leadership is not supportive of your initiative. How do we get the leadership to come on board?
Wow, that one I agree with. Sometimes, like you say, on the ground, things are very different, but the people who are supposed to reinforce these things to be right don't seem to be on the same page with you, and it can be very frustrating. But I would say, sitting in an HR seat, sometimes you will need to be very innovative with the way you present these cases to the leadership. 100% of leaders have engaged, are very key. They're very passionate. They will take everything to the bank when it comes to the productivity of the organization. So they will easily consume numbers. They will easily consume relationship affecting the numbers. One of the things we've been accused of as HR is that we have a lot of stories. We have a lot of stories, and then we don't articulate things in terms of relating to the numbers and the strategy. So we may need to be a little bit innovative. Of course, we may not be able to probably, this may not be able to actually, get all the leaders to listen, because it depends on the leadership you have and why they're doing that. But this has been found to work. If you are able to articulate and relate the gap you see with how it impacts 1, 2, 3, and the big picture in a more clear manner, that they actually see the impact it has, you have a higher level of acceptance, or a higher time for them to listen to you. How you do that, you may need to recreate the way you've been doing it, and make it a little bit simple, connected. And there are many people who are actually out there to help people in HR, people in administration, to be able to actually articulate these things. If you need to understand some, just call Damaris, I'm a call away.
And I wanted to just say, I know Damaris runs these trainings for 2 days. She has a 2-day session on culture and just high performance work culture. And we asked her to do a summary of it within 30 minutes. I even asked we try, but that is the idea. We are trying to get the concepts, because not everyone can afford some of these trainings. But if you can, please look out for high performance culture coming up with Damaris Ndungwa, and she'll be able to guide you through. Again, allow me to remind you that this session is brought to you by Atara Solutions in partnership with Balcon Housing and Stallion Construction Company Limited, and also that we have offers from Pathway Service Solutions. Just in a minute, I know Anthony said he'd like one course, so Anthony, please send me an email and I'll be sharing what that is all about. Damaris, I saw your hand up, please.
Actually, I can see several hands up, but I wanted to reinforce something. Culture transformation, or building, that process of building high performance culture, like I said, it's a process. It actually can take you 2 to 3 years, or even 5, depending on the number of staff complement you have. And we have a tailored model we use that goes beyond this time. The ones I think, Grace, is the smaller sessions. Just how do you empower leadership? How do you build a high performance leadership for them to go and build high performance culture within the organization? How do you even empower your managers and build capacity for them to drive this conversation that Brenda was asking? And those ones are shorter sessions, can have 2 to 3 days. We usually have actually a whole 3-day conversation for leaders, that to bring to perspective. We call it LAC, leadership, accountability, and culture. That comes once in a year. So you may want to look out for that. So you may go into understanding how the process works. If you're seeking to understand or to actually deploy one, get in touch. We have actually a process that we implemented for the last 7 years, is proved effective to help you build a great culture. Thanks. Over to you, Grace.
Thank you very much. Dr. Achoch is asking whether you have an African example. Yes, she does. She has done this practically in this Kenya, and she'd be able to share with that on a more personalized session. And the anonymous attendee who is asking about how do you know whether you're a performer if an organization never tells you about performance or appraisals? All you do is report to work. Oh God, that is a bad culture. But I think what you can also do is get yourself a mentor. Get somebody who can support you, or a coach to walk the journey with you, so that you can be able to also gauge your performance and just share your successes, share your frustrations, and share just where you want to go as a person, as opposed to the whole organization. Damaris, your parting shot as you remove screen share.
Oh, thanks very much. I want first of all to appreciate the over 200 people we had here listening to Damaris. I hope you make a slight difference, because slight difference is what creates a bigger momentum for change. We do not have to change the world in a day, but I believe the smaller changes we make as people in our spaces create a bigger change. So I call upon us to just go and make that effort in our spaces. I want to reassure you there is enough support everywhere, including myself, as I work with the Blue Concepts Africa to create interventions. Just reach out and you'll be able to get a mentor, a coach, or someone will give you a working process for you to be able to achieve a high performance culture as a person, or even for your organization. But for me, thanks very much. It's an honor to be here to talk to you on a chapter that our concept I'm passionate about. And thanks, Grace, for inviting me for this session. It's my first one actually in getting it right, but I've been a participant all along. But it feels different to be on this other side. But thanks very much, and support of your team as well.
Thank you
to
so
all
much.
the people, good morning again, good night, and good afternoon, depending on where you are.
Thank you, Damaris. The offer from Pathway Solutions, Anthony grabbed it, the first one. We have performance management. We have conducting performance review. The anonymous attendee who has talked about performance, not knowing where they are, I would really be keen on giving you this free session for yourself. So if you're able to email me, please do. I'll be happy to hook you up with these sessions. But I need to warn you that this is self-paced learning. So you log into the LMS learning management system, you do the learning, you do an assessment, and then you get a certificate at the end of it all. So 3 of you get a chance to get these free trainings by Pathway Solution Services, performance management, conduct on performance review, and for conflict management at the workplace. Please email me at grace@atarasolutions.co.ke and you'll stand a chance to win the free sessions by Pathway Service Solutions. And thank you very much, Pathway Solutions, for your partnership. We really, really appreciate you. And like I said before, this webinar is brought to you by Atara Solutions in partnership with Balcon Housing. Balcon Housing is a real estate and property management company. You can look them out on Facebook and Instagram. We also have Stallion Construction Company. We have Ames College of Business and Technology, Ames College of Business and Technology. We also have the Career Management Center, Pathway Solution Services, 1D Restaurant, and WeClean. By the way, WeClean, between this week have a 14% discount, and they do pick up and delivery of your carpet. So this week you get to enjoy a 10% discount from Pathway Solution. From WeClean. WeClean is a carpet cleaning company. They are offering 14% discount. You can get in touch with me and I'll be able to link you up with them. They'll come pick up your carpet, clean it up and bring it back to you the next day. And if you want things like curtains also washed and all this stuff in your house, kindly get in touch with WeClean and they'll be able to sort you out. And I can see that the question tab is piling up as we go. I don't know whether, okay. Okay, so for those of you who are talking about it, please, I would prefer an email because I'll forget. It's important that you email so that I can link you up with Frank of Pathway Solutions and they'll be able to also be with, give you the topics. My email is grace@atarasolutions.co.ke and the offer is only for the 3 people. So if you already have not sent an email, you might be losing out. Grace@atarasolutions.co.ke. We actually have these offers every Tuesday. So if you're here, you'll stand a chance to win every now and then. And I believe that will be very helpful for you in the growth of your career and progress. Thank you very much for tuning in today. This is Get It Right with Atara Solutions. Nelson, I don't know whether you wanted to say something. Nelson, management.
Hello, Grace. Thank you very much. I think I raised my hand by mistake. I raised it again now for thing. But then I just want to thank Damaris for the great presentation. She has covered a lot. I would see that she brought in the issue of the areas of psychology, the business, technical knowledge, HR, and all that. So it was a good training. I'm happy, and I hope all of us are also happy from the comments. I just wanted to emphasize on the bit of number 5 in terms of measuring, and evaluation, because that's where most of us we go wrong. Once we set up a good culture, but we don't measure it. So how many people will survive the culture for the next 3 years? How do we ensure that everything that we have done is actually going to be done as we measure our way through? But then I'm very grateful for the training, and I think at our solutions you are doing well with Catherine Sindadi doing. I think I'm learning some of the sign languages from her. Thank you very much. Yes, we appreciate.
Thank you very much, Nelson. Thank you for the compliment. I know Boyd wanted to say something. I haven't seen him. Boyd, are you still with us? Okay, I think he left. Anyway, so thank you guys for making it here. Get it right with the Atara Solutions. We do this every Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. If you're looking for a company to do in-house trainings for you, Atara Solutions is there to support you. We also do HR manager outsourced. So if you have people who don't have HR managers in their organizations and they're looking for people to support the HR function, we also offer that as a service. And we also organize trainings for specific for your organization or just generally for a group of people. And we are looking forward to working with you. Thank you very much. And for those of you asking about this, the recording will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. Like I have said, Get It Right with Atara Solutions. So see you next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we have a very interesting topic, working and something abroad. Like everyone is always looking for a job abroad, and we are just going to get the facts. Is it really greener pastures as we seem to believe? Is it better working there or here? What are the facts if you to get a job out of Kenya? And is it as rosy as it sounds, you know? Just like everyone is hoping that the grass is greener where they are, and probably all they need to do is water where they are right now. So next Tuesday, that is the topic we are discussing. I'm very excited about that as we get to bring on new concepts. And yeah, so the topic is working abroad, think before you jump, you know? So we're going to just look at what exactly it means and what are the things that you need to put in place before you decide to just go for work abroad, and probably to demystify, is it as green as it sounds, you know? And that is what we'll be discussing on Tuesday. So thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Catherine Sigandi, our sign language interpreter. We appreciate you. I'm sure our sign language, our team is happy to have you. And next on Sunday, my friend is tackling emotional intelligence. And if you are in the HR forums, I'll share with you, because emotional intelligence is something that we really can't keep off discussing. And especially now with the elections that are coming on, we need a lot of self-control and all that. So I will share with you the flyer for that. So see you next week, same time, same place. My name is Grace Nzula, otherwise known as the moderator of choice. And I look forward to hosting you next week. Please follow us on Instagram, Atara Solutions. Like our Facebook page, Atara Solutions. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Get It Right with Atara Solutions. And have yourselves a lovely night.